let's try to do what we did last week. And there they are, the brothers. Malki was too busy getting a haircut last week, so he couldn't come on. But now here he is, bald as can be, in honor of his great friend Dana White. It's a great look, Malki. You're looking fine.
Look at my great friend Dana White, huh? Yeah. Wish he
Wow.
looked as good with his bald, but I got a great. Come on, bro. Don't ever compare me to Dana.
This is crazy because you now look like 5 years younger than your younger brother.
That's what I keep telling him. He needs to get in the gym, man. But he doesn't want to come with me. I don't know why.
Why not, Abe? Too busy?
Travel.
Okay. Well, now what happened to your head, Abe? Why do you have a bandage on?
Stress.
You got cut and all of that? I feel you.
When you get stressed, break out. So
how about Abe Kawa? Back-to-back weeks on this program. He went 9 years without an appearance, and now he's on back-to-back weeks.
I know. Say that's impressive.
I know.
Okay.
I told him. I said he needs to start getting his face out there. So
he's good.
How was that?
Are we going to be joined by Yoel, or is he big timing us?
Yeah, I don't know where he's at. I'm waiting for him to show up.
He started raining. He's driving in Miami.
He's got both his coaches here, and they're sitting here waiting on him too, because we have a big meeting that was supposed to start at 1, and then we got you as well, and how that goes.
All right. So while we wait for him, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to him for at least a few minutes, I want to ask you guys, and Abe, I believe you were there, and Malki, I know you're obviously very caught up on the whole situation, so take this however you want. Tell us about the controversial moments on Friday as, he's trying to make weight. He comes down, he's 186, Yoel's 186 initially, and then they tell you guys, okay, from this point, I believe it was 10:46 a.m. Central Time. You now have 2 hours to come back down here and make 185 on the dot. And then apparently, according to you and Yoel, some weird stuff happened. So to either of you, what exactly happened here? Can you tell us from your mouth what happened?
So once he got off the scale, we were then taken by the head of the commission, the Illinois commission, the lady there, and she said, for you to get the 2 hours, we have to clear you. I said, oh, okay, cool. That took about 20 minutes. Being there, the UFC doctor as well was there. They used one of their own doctors, and she said, if you want the extra 2 hours, you have to take one of our doctors up with you. We said, absolutely, no problem. It's not going to be an issue. So not only did she send one doctor, she sent 2 doctors, and the UFC sent their doctor, Dr. Davidson, to come up as well. So we ended up having 3 doctors in the room. That whole process, though, took about 20 minutes to get cleared. The time started, though, from the moment he got on the scale. So you got to think, now we're already at like 11:06, I believe, by the time we get him back into the room. When that happens, the whole plan for this was to be on weight by 11 a.m. That was the plan. Once 5 o'clock in the morning came around, I got texted by 3 different people telling me, and these are UFC people, UFC officials telling me, hey, as long as he's within 3 pounds by 11 a.m. on the scale, he'll get an extra 2 hours. So I get with George Lockhart and I tell George, hey, if for whatever reason we need to do, let's use those extra 2 hours. Why would we kill our guy trying to get him down that bad, that fast? If we could stretch it out, let's stretch it out. He goes, oh, brilliant idea, let's do it. So the whole plan was to use those 2 hours. So everything that we did from that point going forward of the weight cut was to use the 2 extra hours slotted to us. So fast forward, we get up to the room. They send 2 EMTs to check his vitals. His vitals were perfect. Not perfect like you and I, we're walking and we're fully hydrated, but perfect for someone who's weight cutting. So not only did the commission doctor clear him, the UFC doctor clear him, but now an EMT cleared him as well. From that point, it took about another 10 to 15 minutes before he actually got into the tub, because that's the way everything worked out in terms of timing. He got into the tub. Within being into the tub, within about 5 or so minutes, the doctor, the old man, I don't remember his name, came in. Well, I'm sorry, he didn't come in, he was already in there. He asked Yoel, hey, how do you feel? Yoel says, I feel great. I asked him while he was in the tub, how do you feel? He said, I feel great. He says, oh, okay, well, he goes, I feel like a superhero. The guy goes, well, all superheroes die. He's like, whoa, that's
jeez.
That's kind of crazy. You say that to a guy, it's kind of, So,
wow.
Press fast forward, about a minute later, he gets a call from the lady commissioner, the head of the commissioner, saying, hey, this is over. Get him out of the tub. He's got to come downstairs. I said, whoa, this doesn't make any sense. You told us we had 2 hours. We're only an hour into this. This is the hour that we were going to cut. This was the time frame that he had to cut between the bath and the towels. I say I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to try to buy some time. That's really my idea. I'm going to go there and ask her directly why she's pulling it. Now stay in the tub. You all don't get out. I go downstairs. I introduce myself and ask the lady, why are you cutting this short? She goes, I don't feel comfortable him cutting weight. I said, but you cleared it, and you have your doctor up there. You have another doctor up there, and you have the UFC doctor up there. Plus you have EMTs there. What are you afraid of? And she goes, I don't think he looked good going up there. I said, but that was an hour ago. You could have stopped this an hour ago. And if she would have stopped it an hour ago, I would have kept my mouth shut and said, you know what, this is her personal opinion. She's leaving it to that. We would have obviously fought, but it made more sense to do that then than to let him go a whole nother hour in her mind of him cutting, which he wasn't even cutting in that hour. He was actually resting in that hour. So for her to say that, she's just going to do it, I said, well, you don't have a medical opinion telling you otherwise. She goes, no, I'm making an administrative call. I said, this doesn't make any sense. You're going to pull a guy in the middle of a weight cut. We haven't even started yet. She goes, there's no discussion here. He needs to be down here right now on the scale. Going back upstairs, I told you, you got to get out of the tub. Take your time getting out of the tub. Take your time, everything. That was really it. And then from there, it was just kind of, get down and the rest everybody knows.
Right. What was it ever in question that he would take the fight after all of that?
Yeah, I mean, Ariel, the thing is that at that point he, it's no longer for a belt.
Yeah.
It's what he, it's what he wanted, and in his mind it didn't make sense for him to fight a fighter, or not a fighter, but to fight a fight that's for a championship belt, where if he wins he doesn't get the belt, right? So he was like, well, listen, I might as well, if this is the case, right, then let's not fight, and let's fight when the belt's on the line. And then, we kind of really started talking to him about it, and then he said, no, you know what, you're right, let's just fight. So it was like a conversation for a little bit, and then it went away. He wanted to fight. It's, as you guys can see, he went out and he laid it all out on the line. So it was a hell of a fight.
Is there anything that can be done now with the commission? I have to say, I mean, I wasn't there when you guys were talking to them, of course, but I mean, even the fact that they started 20 minutes early, to me, like, I missed the first 6 people who weighed in because they said it started at 9, and then I hear your story, and I start thinking, like, did they just want to wrap this thing up early? I asked the UFC, why did they do it early? They have no idea. What can be done, if anything, about this?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know about starting early or pulling guys off the scale. I think the commission has the right to kind of do a lot of what they want to do. So if there's guys down there trying to weigh in early and they let them do it, I guess they probably could. You know what I mean? No one's going to wait for us to sit there and take pictures and do all that. So I think they could do that. But this whole telling him he's got 2 hours or deviating from the rules, not, going on the word of what the doctors are saying, to me is an issue. So I've already this morning, put an inquiry into some, to 3 attorneys to look into the matter for us and to check to see what's up. And if there's something that I can do, we're definitely going to sue the Chicago Commission. I'm not going to play around with them. The thing is this, here's the problem for me. These fighters come in there, and especially after watching this fight, watching what he did, watching what Robert did, they both went in there. Robert took a beating. Yoel took a beating. They spend the night in the hospital. I mean, when you watch guys do that, right? And look, listen, at the end of the day, it worked out the way it did, right? Robert won. He keeps his belt. It's all good. But let's just assume Yoel would have won. What would have happened then at that point? You know what I mean? Robert's still the champion. Now you got Robert sitting here saying, well, I'm going to have a rematch because this is, or no, I'm not going to fight him again. And then now we would be sitting here, a guy who beat the champion, right? 2 fights in a row, beats the champion without no belt. At some point, it doesn't make any sense. And look, again, him not making weight or him, being in the position in the first place, I think sucks. And that's something that, that we're going to look into on our part of how to make sure going forward, because he's never missed weight before. And then now all of a sudden this is going on for him not to miss weight again. So we take responsibility for that, obviously. But for the commission to tell somebody you've got 2 hours to cut weight and then to take 20 minutes out of it to clear him, and so you're not really giving him 2 hours, you're giving him an hour and 40 minutes, to then an hour later come in and say, hey, I'm sorry, I changed my mind, I kind of got to go, because that's really what it sounds like to me too. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. You had 3 doctors up in this room. Not one of them made a phone call or told anyone in that room, I'm not comfortable with this. As a matter of fact, from what I understood from different people, not just my brother, from Dan Lambert, who was the owner of American Top Team, to Yoel's coaches, to everyone that was in the room, including the doctors, really have no idea why this is happening, have no idea why we're being told. Everything is fine. They asked him at the beginning of the cut, or when he got into the tub, how he felt. He said he felt great. There was another 30 minutes or 35 minutes that they just stood around and waited for him to kind of and wait for this process to finish. And all of a sudden they got a call that he needs to come down right away. So, you know what I mean? It's a little disappointing because in reality, you kind of tarnish this fight by taking away, You know what I mean? By him missing the weight, you kind of tarnish it a little bit. Because if he doesn't miss the weight, we're talking about, this is, I think right now, I mean, is there another fight that's happened this year that's been as good as that one? This was probably fight of the year, right or wrong?
Yep. I agree.
So,
okay, so if you hear from any of these lawyers that you reached out to, if there's a case, you're going full force, you want to sue the Illinois, I want to correct you, just not the Chicago, the Illinois Commission, right?
correct. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, because I mean, you got to think he's got 20% in his purse that he lost. He lost another $50,000, in fight of the night that he wasn't eligible for. And then, I mean, you got to think he was a pound over. He comes back down, in a shortened weight cut, and he was down 0.8. So we're talking about less than a quarter pound is what we're talking about. And you know what I mean? When he got on the scale, and at the end of the day, and he was sweating on the scale while he was on there. So another 15, 20 probably would have dropped that quarter pound too as well. And he wasn't afforded that opportunity. Now, listen, the commissioner's in her right to do what she wants. I just think there needs to be some sort of rational explanation. And then the truth is, too, Ariel, at some point, somebody's got to stand up to these commissions, man. Because you pull one off New York the other day. One of our other clients got pulled off after the doctor they sent her to cleared her. There's nothing wrong with her. And then she gets pulled off the card. And it's like it's all good. It's not all good. These fighters are paying for camps. They're flying people in. They're going months. And in my other client's case, years without a fight because of different circumstances. Some her fault, some not her fault. And it's like, oh, well, too bad. You know what I mean? We're just going to pull you off. And then the truth is, you look at the UFC and everybody's like, well, she's going to get her show money and her show, and her win money. And it's like, you keep putting it on the UFC for mistakes that these commissions do, right? And at the end of the day, I appreciate the UFC because they take care of a lot of this stuff. But at the same time, at what point do we hold these commissions, responsible? So at this point, I just feel like my hands are tied, man. I'm not going to sit around and watch this anymore. So if these three attorneys tell me there's nothing there, I'll find the fourth or a fifth or somebody that tells me there's something. And if I know the attorneys I talk to, they're going to find something. So we'll just, in the next 2 weeks or so, I probably plan on finding something.
Abe, you were with him the entire time, face to face. Just mentally and emotionally, I know it's hard to quantify this sort of thing, but do you feel this took a toll on him? Because I remember looking at him at the ceremonial weigh-ins, his head was down. He seemed a little down. Obviously, you're about to fight for a belt, and now the belt is no longer on the line. Do you feel like it kind of screwed with him up just a little bit going into the fight in those final hours?
Yeah, absolutely.
It had to happen.
Absolutely. I can tell you from being on the phone with him that it did.
Yeah.
I mean, him not wanting to fight wasn't because he doesn't want to fight. Yoel wants to fight everybody. He doesn't really care. The issue is that he was like looking at it from, just the whole perspective of how far he's come and everything he's trying to accomplish. The fact that, the situation in Australia, took a toll out on him too there. You know what I mean? Like how the whole thing happened, and he goes and gets a knockout, and, we're all hoping for the best in this case too. And let me tell you something, by the way, Robert Whittaker, hats off to him, had a hell of a fight. I think the kid is tough as nails, man, and he's slowly become one of my favorite fighters as well too. Watch, and I don't like anybody that's not on my roster realistically, except for a few guys. He's starting to become one of those guys where I actually like, I hope we get to fight him again at some point. You know what I mean? Because he's a tremendous competitor.
And just curious, before the fight, Dana White was talking about, I'd like to see him go up to 205, maybe fight Gustafsson, #1 contender fight. I see you shaking your head, Abe. How do you guys feel about that idea of him moving up to 205?
205. My brother's going to explain that in a minute.
Listen, okay. I'm not necessarily against it. I'm not necessarily against him going to 205, but there's certain things that have to make sense for him to go up there. The reality of it is he walks around at 205. You know what I mean? And he's also 5 foot, 5'9", 5'10", right? And Gustafsson is 6'5", and John's 6'5", and I mean, it'd be cool to watch him fight Cormier. You know what I mean? At 205 against us, they wrestled each other and all that other stuff. But I mean, you start asking him to fight guys like Gustafsson, and then eventually a guy like Bones. I mean, #1 contender match, and then what? You know what I mean? It's not just as easy as just to say let's go do that. You know what I mean? But I get it. Listen, a guy misses weight twice. I've got my reasons why he missed the weight. There's some things that he switched up the last 2 camps that we weren't necessarily on the same page with. But again, we'll get that corrected. Like I said, we take responsibility for that, and we'll get it right. He won't miss weight again. He never missed weight before. He ain't gonna miss it again. He would have made weight this time too. He actually showed up to the fight heavier than he did in Australia and got down to less than a quarter pound. And it's just unfortunate the way this stuff worked out. But I think it messed with a lot of different things, not just the.
My understanding is that you guys hired Lockhart and Leith to do his weight cut on Tuesday. Why so late in the process?
No, we actually hired him. On Saturday of that week, the week before, I should say. And you all had to do media that Monday, so he couldn't get to whatever George wanted him to do Monday. So as of Tuesday is when it officially began doing Lockhart's weight cut. Yeah, but
Is,
but Lockhart was actually very comfortable with the whole
okay.
thing. He said, absolutely. I believe we were getting there. It wasn't even
Okay.
a problem.
I was just wondering if it was like an audible that you called, like, "Whoa, we need some help here." Or was that always the plan to start?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was?
we did that. But the thing, like, yeah, because there's like I said, there's certain things that were out of our control. That we listen, bro. Being an agent is not just negotiating a contract. People don't understand. If you watch what I've been doing in the football world, some of my clients are running those headlines over there too. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of it is stuff that you hear the stories and you're like, wait a minute, and it doesn't make sense. And then you got to go through the storm, and then you got to clear the storm, and then you get through it. And in this case, we did call an audible at the last minute, and it was something that we kind of had to do. And going forward, here's the thing: sometimes you have to learn through these situations. And I think what I mean. Our fighters have learned through a lot of different situations they've been in, different ones. I'm not going to name any specific thing, but it just happens. And I just think that he gets it. And I think that if there's a message I can tell all fighters that I normally do, it's the same way that you take your training serious and you get with the best camp that you possibly can, your nutrition, you know what I mean, and your mind. All those things also have to be worked with and managed, and you have to get the best around to do it. And you obviously know that there's guys in this business for a long time handling nutrition. Lockhart's one of them. And hat goes off to him too, because he did a hell of a job and short notice, never dealing with him before, to just start working with him and coming in and pretty much, and ensuring that he was going to get to weight and all that. So Lockhart did a phenomenal job, and I can't say enough good things about him. So that was good. And going forward, I think that Yoel understands the importance of his nutrition, meal plan, training, and different things of that nature. So that's why I'm confident he won't ever miss weight again. But hey, if the opportunity is right at 205, then I might be able to play there too as well. So we'll see.
Now, honestly, as honest as possible, how did you score the fight? To both of you.
Listen, I had Yoel. So in the very first fight between him and Robert, I had Robert winning 3-2. Flat out, right? Pat went off, told me the thing. I thought Yoel won this fight. I thought Yoel did way more damage, dropping him a couple times in this fight. I guess that, one thing we have to keep in mind is that the way you score an MMA fight compared to a boxing fight is different. You drop somebody in a boxing match, it's immediately, a 10-8 round. In MMA, it's not really like that. Robert was competitive in those rounds. So as I got the rules re-explained to me again, even at this point in time, some people said it's 3-2 Robert. I saw it 3-2 Yoel. Or you could say 3 rounds, maybe to 2, but I gave Yoel, at least 1 10-8 rounds. So maybe it was a draw, at the worst case. But I didn't think he lost that fight, to be honest with you.
Abe, you agree?
Yeah, I think the difference is the 4th round, where Yoel did such a great job in the 3rd round. It kind of took away from the 4th round his performance, because then he goes back out on the 5th round and completely dominates. So talk of 10-8, 10-7, all this stuff, I look at it as he clearly won 3, 4, and 5.
I thought so too.
That's the way I see it. Yeah. If you want to call the 4th round, a toss-up, you call that one, whatever you want to call it. But I think he clearly won 3, 4, and 5. Clearly.
But I mean, listen, Ariel. Here's the thing. I'm not trying to take away from Robert's performance.
Right.
No, I know. I'm just curious. Yeah.
Because if Robert's listening, I don't want him to feel like we're sitting over here shitting on what he did or didn't do. I'm not trying to be biased at all. At the end of the day, we really believe Yoel won, right? But I mean, it's one of those fights that it was so close that I'm not mad that they picked him if I'm not biased, right? But I'm biased. So at the end of the day, we won. But Robert did such a phenomenal job, and I mean, he's so tough, dude. It's amazing to see what he did under all that pressure and some of the shots that he took. So, you know what I mean? I'm not mad at the decision. It's just, like I said, listen, I thought Andre Arlovski won his fight too. You know what I mean? And that one I thought was a little bit more clear to Andre than the other way. And we lost that one. That one I'm a little bit more bitter about. Again, that other kid fighting a guy like Andre, I thought did a great job. But I thought Andre just, showed up way more than the other kid did. But, listen, dude, in this business, if you leave it to the hands of the judges, you live and die by that sword. You're going to win some and you're going to lose some. I've been on the side where my guy won when he probably shouldn't have. And I've been on these sides where, fights like this, you end up, losing them when you probably shouldn't. You know what I mean?
2 more quick things. It doesn't look like you all will be joining us. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I don't know where he's at.
It's all good. I mean, who needs Yoel when you got these 2 pretty faces here, right? You guys have provided us with great information. 2 quick things before I let you go. First off, I know he was taken to the hospital. Any serious injuries?
Not reported.
Nothing. He's good. He's all good. The eye. What about the eye?
We're getting another look at it today, but as of right now, it looks like it was just really superficial.
Okay, is that him?
Might be. No.
Come on. And no, yes, no. All right. Malki, let me ask you, because Dana White spoke to TMZ, I think on Saturday, but it came out today. saying that Brock Lesnar is interested in John Jones. And I know John has to get through his USADA thing. We're waiting that. We spoke about it last week, but I just wanted to know what your reaction to that was.
Let's go back to John's last fight. Let's just replay the call out. Shoot, I mean, now is when he decides to get back to us. I mean, hell, we've been winning that fight since the day that happened. So, I mean, my reaction to it is that I'm glad he's in, because, we're 1,000% in too. So, you know what I mean? We just got to get through this USADA stuff, and hopefully we can make that fight happen.
Would it be fair to say once that is over with, you have Brock, you have Stipe, you have Daniel, is it fair to say that that's the most, interesting fight for you guys? That's the fight that he would want the most?
You know what? Listen, here's the thing. At the time, right, when, you knock out Cormier, so you think, I'm not fighting him again, there's no reason, right? And then Cormier goes to heavyweight, and then he, gets into this thing with Stipe. And now you think, okay, if Cormier beats him at heavyweight, right, what do you want to do? So I still think Brock Lesnar's the fight. I love that fight as a comeback fight. I think it's just, there's certain guys in the sport that really, can catapult people. John's one. I think Brock's another. You know what I mean? Guy like Conor, a woman like Ronda, you know what I mean? They can really get you somewhere. And I think John and Brock together, just for the whole sport as a whole, I think just takes it to another level. And I just think that's the biggest fight that we can have as a team. I think it's the biggest fight the UFC can make. I don't know of another fight out there. I don't care who you pit, Conor versus this guy, that guy, that can be bigger than a John versus Brock. I mean, you're talking about a heavyweight fight. You know what I mean? That's John's first, foray into heavyweight territory. And if John goes in and it was to fight Brock, I think, it's just amazing for everything involved. It would be the biggest fight that the UFC probably has put together in a long, long time. I don't know of another one that's as big. And then on top of it, you're looking at, you know what I mean? Now John's in the heavyweight division. And then you can sit there and look at, is Cormier the champion? Is Stipe the champion? And what does he want to do? Does he go back to 205 and, get his belt back and then come back to heavyweight? Does he stay at heavyweight, win that belt, and maybe, do a 2-division thing? I don't know. It just opens up a lot of things. But I just think from a big fight perspective, I don't know if there's a bigger fight than that Brock Lesnar fight.
Have they actually offered you the fight yet?
Nah, I mean, they can't offer us anything right now. We don't know what the circumstances with USADA looks like. Although I'm pretty confident that, those things will hopefully, work themselves out, in a good way for everyone involved. And hopefully we can get to something sooner rather than later. But other than that, realistically, for them to come and say, we want you to fight Brock Lesnar, I'm like, all right, cool, give me a date. You know what I mean? And we can still be suspended, makes sense. So realistically, we would think. But I mean, look, if Brock's in, you know what I mean? Obviously, John called them out. So I don't think that, I'm wrong by saying that's the fight we want. But, who knows if something presents itself that could be bigger than that fight at the time, maybe that's the fight that we do.
All right, guys, appreciate the time very much. Great stuff. To both of you, if you could, if I could just have Yoel on the screen even for a second, if he shows up, if we could just sneak him in there for a minute, because this is my last show, guys. I can't be a guy who promotes things and people not show up. So just text me and we'll slide him in even for a minute, just to say shalom. All right?
Yeah, but listen, but you know what though? You knew we were going to be on the show and you didn't promote us. So at the end of the day,
we're getting out of here. I said his man to get out of here. It's on the website. It's on the site. You guys are there.
Listen,
yeah.
I have a question for you though. This is the last show for you on this thing, right?
Yes.
On MMA Hour.
Yes.
The MMA Hour, but is it the MMA Hour done? Like, you're not doing this on the ESPN thing?
Yeah. I'm doing a very, 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 very similar show on ESPN, but it's the last time in this chair. Nothing's really changing. It's just on a different place.
It's not going to be very corporate. Like, you're not going to put on like a suit.
Nah. Yeah, me. Come on.
Sure?
Yeah, for real.
Plaid shirt.
Hey, don't pretend like you're upset about this. These two guys used to always tell me, we love you, but you're not at ESPN. You're not with the big dogs. Now what do you have to say, all right? Cheers to you.
You know what? I wish there was a way to hang this up, because you're full of it. But if there's one person that's... Listen, I was there in the fire with you, buddy. Don't ever forget that.
Yeah, I know. Much love, guys.
Listen, I'm probably responsible for 80% of the news you break. Don't ever forget that. I made you, Ariel.
Okay, relax. Now you're starting to sound like Dana White. It's amazing. You shave your head and now you start to sound like the guy.
Well, technically the guy did kind of put you on a little bit. I mean, that
for real.
And all stuff he had. You know what I'm saying? So
it's all good.
Credit where credit is due.
I do. All right, Abe, text me when he comes, all right?